Hi everyone, this is Diane Kaler, the Director of Nutrition Therapy Institute. I'm back again with another edition of our NTI PodTalk, a platform where we talk to people in the nutrition world and who participate in the nutrition world. Today we have with us Ciara from GrowHaus, which is a local organization here in Denver that she's going to talk about. And Ciara is a volunteer at GrowHaus, working on helping to support their educational team. So can you tell us a little bit about GrowHaus and maybe talk about the beginnings of the organization and how it got started, and then a little bit about what you guys are doing now?
Yeah, I would love to. So the GrowHaus is a food justice nonprofit located in the Globeville, Elyria, Swansea neighborhood of Denver, otherwise known as the GES neighborhood. And we use a permaculture lens to approach our work done in the community. And we view permaculture as a way to co-create permanent culture. So a culture that is embracing ethics and that are rooted in Indigenous values. And at the core of these ethics, they're to nourish a connection to the natural world, embracing teachings and reclaiming our connection to food, and finding creative ways to live in relationship with our earth. And the GrowHaus was founded a little over 10 years ago by a permaculturist who just noticed the unequal access to food in the neighborhood due to the industrialization. And they actually spent, while they were trying to create the space, they used one of the permaculture principles, observe and interact, to really just observe and interact with the community members who lived there in order to find out what the need actually was. And they did that for 4 years before they started creating what is now the GrowHaus. And unfortunately, at this time, the GrowHaus building is actually not being used due to some structural problems with the building. So it was actually shut down last February, right before the pandemic. So we have been doing our work in a little bit of a different manner than people might have otherwise known the GrowHaus to be used for, but nonetheless, we are still in the community and trying to do as best of a job as we can in these circumstances and times.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's great. So I love how you connect permaculture, which for many people, and including myself, I really look at or know and understand permaculture from a very, now I recognize, narrow viewpoint, which is how to grow things in soil that's a no-till modality, and creating a permanent sustainable system in the soil to grow healthy food. But you are expanding on that, and not only are you using permaculture in that very narrow context of growing food, or at least that's how you had been doing it before, but also using that same that same philosophy in the culture, the community, creating a viable, sustainable food system in the community. I think that's wonderful. And particularly in underserved communities who don't have access to good quality food and nutrient dense food and fresh growing food. So I think that's amazing and great. And, I always appreciate and applaud the work that you are doing. Can you talk a little bit about what permaculture is in actually growing food. I kind of introduced it, but can you talk a little bit about what that actually is for people who've never heard of permaculture in the broader sense, like you're talking about, but also in the very narrow sense of growing things in healthy soil?
Yeah. So permaculture is a way of design. It's an approach to land management, and just really an approach to life in general in with regards to like an ecosystem or just like living in an ecosystem. So there are three main ethics of permaculture. So the first is people care, earth care, and then fair share, or the last one sometimes is referred to as redistribution of wealth. So those are really the three ethics that have guided the grow house in the work that it does. Like you were talking about, like our work with the community is in line with people care. And then when the grow house used to grow food, they used to use aquaponics and hydroponics to grow food. So that was just using the area and the materials that we had to grow this nourishing food in that industrial area without soil, regards to earth care. And then fair share was, so also historically when the grow house was running before the chaos of the world kind of set in the last year and a half, we had like a fair share market that we would offer food, and people could receive food at like a sliding scale price. Yeah, so those are the three main ethics, and then under that are some design principles, like I was talking about earlier, like observe and interacting. So taking time just to engage with either the people you're around, the community, or even just like the land that you're on. So another project that we've been working on is redesigning the backyard space that we have. We have a little piece of land back there. And the very first thing that we did as a team who was going to redesign the space was we just took time to go and observe and interact with the land. So we just walked out there, connected with the earth, touched some of the trees that were out there, just tried to really envision what the space could look like, and then how we could make that happen. So yeah, I think we took probably almost 2 hours doing that as a small team.
Mm-hmm. So the plan is, or has it been enacted that you are starting to grow things there now, or that's the plan to start growing things there?
Yeah, that is actually our plan. So it's in process. We have some raised beds back out there that we are going to plant in. And then we actually have some other raised beds like inside of the grow house building that we're going to salvage and make use out of to add some more planting space. Mm-hmm. And then the idea and the hope is that community members will be able to come whenever they want to tend to the plants, or harvest the fruit or vegetables from the raised beds. And we would also like to use it for some of our summer programming as well.
So can you talk a little bit more about what kind of things you do with your summer programming?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have on the education team, we have two youth summer programming events happening this summer starting in June. So one of them is called Seed to Seed, and it's a teen youth leadership program that will be happening. And then the other one is a multi-generational program called Bees in the Garden. So that is for elementary aged students and their caregivers. And that class is quite unique in the way that the students learn alongside of their caregivers. So we have a community outreach team and then an education team. So we both kind of collaborate on that project. So the community outreach team members primarily will work with the caregivers and teach classes about cooking and growing. And then myself and one of my other colleagues will work with the children. It's a play-based learning program. So doing some gardening and just exploring of different permaculture ideas. Yeah, and it's really unique because you get to do that side by side and then share a lunch together.
That sounds great. I think it's really important to teach kids because they take those skills, the knowledge, the values, all that kind of stuff, they take that in with them as they mature and grow into healthy adults. So I'm always a very big proponent of trying to get kids involved in food and growing and understanding how to eat healthy, because that's just how we're going to make a difference in the world, I think. So that's great. I heard you use the word volunteer several times. So everyone who works there is volunteers, or how does that kind of work?
That's a great question. No, my position is actually the only full-time volunteer position available at the GrowHaus. But so in the past, they did have a lot of volunteers when the building was open. You could come and do like a little volunteer, or they used to call it service learning project. So at the actual building, you could come and like do a little bit of learning, helping clean, maybe like they used to have rabbits, so like the rabbit hutch or the chicken little coop area. And then it was just like some little program like that. And now we've actually shifted away from that since we are not able to use that space. And we're really trying to just put more of our energy into the community. And if community members need something, so like we just had a little volunteer event at the backyard space 2 weeks ago, just really cleaning it up and revitalizing it for spring and getting it ready to be used and kind of rebuilt. So that opportunity was open to some community members who really wanted to be involved in that. So I would say our focus now is more shifted onto community members, and especially youth and young adults in the community who have prior or in the past been involved in the GrowHaus through like our summer programming events. Yeah, and also we are taking a pause on internships right now for the same reasons. But in the past, they did have interns for the different farms, and then for the education and community outreach teams as well.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for helping me understand and helping our viewers and our listeners understand about what GrowHaus does. You know, we at NTI, the NTI community, you know, our passion is around food and nutrient density and supporting health through food, but also in ways to get the information out there to those who don't intentionally seek information about healthy food. So I think you guys help play that role in providing the education that you know, you're using as a community support, but you're providing the education that is going to be a foundation of understanding how important food is for health. So I think that's great. So can you talk about where people can find out about more about GrowHaus, what kind of social media things you guys do, and where we can find more information about you.
Yes, absolutely. So if you just want any general information, you can find us at our website at www.thegrowhaus.org. And the GrowHaus is spelled TheGrowHaus. Or you can find us on Instagram at using the @ symbol, the GrowHaus, or the same for Facebook.
Great, good. All right, well, thank you so much for being here, Ciara. I really appreciate it, and I am impressed with what you guys are doing, so thank you so much.
Thank you, it was my pleasure.
All righty, bye.
Bye.